Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Maker and it is a beautiful day to show you how to cut wood on your Cricut cutting machine. So did you know that you can cut wood on your Cricut? Yes, the Cricut Makers can do it. You probably know that, but even the Cricut Explorers can do it. You just need to use the right wood and the right blade. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. To demonstrate, we are going to make these super cool wooden bookmarks. Aren't they neat? Got a whole bunch of them right here. Now, the best wood to use in a Cricut cutting machine is super thin wood. That means things like wood veneer or very soft and thin woods like basswood and balsa wood. And here's the important part. They need to be 1/16 of an inch or less in thickness. That's 1.5 millimeters or less. This is really quite thin, as you can see here. Now, basswood and balsa wood are pretty light woods. This is basswood right here. So if you want a different look than that, you're going to want to go for wood veneers because you can get them in a wide range of finishes and they are the easiest woods to cut. Veneer will also give you the sharpest cuts. I made these bookmarks that you see here from different wood veneers and they turned out so good. Whatever you do, don't use plywood, even if it is 1/16 of an inch or less. It will not work well and you will waste your material and time, and I don't want you to do that. To show you how to cut wood, I am going to use Cricut Natural Wood Veneer in maple and walnut. The right blade for cutting wood like this is the deep point blade that comes in a black housing like this. They don't come default with any of the Cricut cutting machines, so you'll need to get it separately. You may see it called a deep cut blade instead of a deep point blade, but so long as it is in this black housing, it's the same blade. The deep point blade has a steeper blade angle. It's 60 degrees versus 45 degrees like the other fine point blades are, and it is a harder and more durable steel. Now, if you have a Cricut Maker cutting machine, you can use the knife blade to cut thin wood, which looks like this. But it's important to understand that the knife blade is best for cuts of moderate detail, no smaller than 3/4 of an inch. This includes the size of the interior cuts. So the width of your cut should not be smaller than the diameter of a pencil. Our bookmarks, as you can see, have finer details than that. So the knife blade is not a good blade for it. Instead, we want to use the deep cut blade. Now, if you're cutting basswood or balsa wood on a Cricut Maker, you will be encouraged to use the knife blade. If you're on an Explorer, you can't even use the knife blade, so you're going to want to use the deep point blade. And then create a custom material setting with a pressure of at least 330 and 4 to 8 passes, just so you know. But this is another reason why wood veneer is so great, because you can cut it on both the Maker and the Explorer with the deep point blade in just 4 passes. It is the easiest wood to cut on a Cricut, and this is what I recommend that you use. Now, to cut wood, it's also important to use a very sticky machine mat, specifically a purple strong grip machine mat. It's super sticky, which is important because wood is very stiff and hard to cut, so it will want to move around more on your mat than usual. For that reason, we also use painter's tape to keep the wood in place on your mat, and I will show you how to put that on your wood properly too. And to get that wood really stuck onto your mat well, you'll also want to use a brayer, which looks like this. And you can roll it over your wood to super stick it to your mat, and it really does make a difference. There's also a few other tools that I find useful when cutting wood, such as a craft knife to help clean up the wood after you cut it. You may or may not need that. A nail file and sandpaper to smooth out your cuts, and a weeding tool to poke out little cuts from your wood. All right, so those are all the basic tools and supplies that you need to cut wood on a Cricut. It's not really that bad, I don't think. So let's dive right into this by making these pretty wooden bookmarks on our Cricut cutting machines. This is a great starter project for learning how to cut wood on your machine. For this project, you just need some glue. It can be tacky glue or super glue, and then you'll want some ribbon of your choice for putting on your bookmark. You'll find a list of the exact materials and supplies linked below this video. And I have a free design to share with you, all of these bookmark designs, in fact. So let's go on over to the computer so I can show you where to find my free bookmark designs and how to cut your wood on your Cricut. Step 1, get my free wooden bookmarks file. You can download my free wooden bookmark designs from my blog at jennifermaker.com/319. Just go to the red bar at the top and look for libraries, and then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the pattern by searching the page for design number 319, and then click it to download an SVG cut file for cutting with your Cricut. Once you have your file, upload the SVG cut file to Cricut Design Space. If you're unsure how to unzip and upload SVG files, please watch my SVGs Made Simple training series at jennifermaker.com/SVGS. Here's what my wood bookmarks SVG file looks like in Cricut Design Space. Step 2, cut your wood on your Cricut. In Cricut Design Space, you can click on the magnifying glass in the lower left to zoom out so you can see all of the designs. And you can hide any bookmark layers that you don't want to make by clicking on the eye icon for that layer next to it over in the Layers panel on the right. I am going to cut all of these designs along with some blank bookmarks in a different veneer finish so you can see how they look. The fun part is how you can add your own designs and images to these bookmarks. For example, to add a name to this blank bookmark here, begin by clicking Ungroup in the upper right corner so that you can work with these bookmarks individually. To duplicate this bookmark, right-click on it with your mouse and choose Duplicate from the menu. Now click on Text over on the left, type in a name, choose a font for it from the menu at the top. I'm using Tingler Script, and then move the text over onto your bookmark. You can rotate the text to match the bookmark by using the rotate handle. If you hold down the Shift key as you rotate, it'll rotate into a straight position. Now select both the bookmark and text by clicking and dragging around just those two. And you can see that just those two are now selected by the highlighted layers over in the layer panel right here on the right. And then click Attach at the bottom right. Attaching them together means they'll cut out together in these same positions and then cut the name right out of the bookmark. So cool. When you're ready, click Make It in the upper right corner. If you're asked whether you want to cut on a mat or without a mat, click on Mat and then select Done. If you don't see this screen, don't worry about it. Now it's time to choose your materials. Click Browse All Materials and search for wood veneer in the search box. It might be called natural wood veneer if you have a problem finding it. Once you've selected that, click Done. Then I always choose More under pressure for a nice clean cut. And now it's time to cut our wood on our Cricut. So get out your purple Strong Grip cutting mat and place your wood veneer on it, making sure that the grain of the wood is vertical, so up and down. Then take your brayer and roll it over the wood to make sure it's really well adhered to your machine mat. Next, you want to tape the wood to the mat with painter's tape. Even though this is a really strong grip mat, you still need to tape it down to make sure it stays in place and doesn't slip during your cutting on your Cricut. Make sure to tape all four sides, but be careful to keep the painter's tape on the mat. Don't overlap it over the edge of your mat. If you do, you might have a jam, so keep the tape on the mat only. Now, if you haven't already, put your deep point blade into your Cricut machine. This goes into clamp B. And when you're all set, load your mat, press the flashing button, and begin cutting. Whenever cutting something like wood, I recommend that you watch the cut to make sure that everything works okay and that you don't have any little bits come loose and want to float around. So keep an eye on your project while it cuts. It should take about 4 passes, so that means it'll go over your project 4 times when it cuts your wood veneer. When the cut is finished, Unload your mat and remove the painter's tape from all 4 sides of your machine mat. Now flip the mat over and carefully roll the mat away from the veneer to release the bookmarks. Take your time with this step. The veneer is thin and it can break if you rush it or force it, so be patient. I used a spatula to help release some of the more stubborn pieces, but you can also use tweezers. If there's any leftover painter's tape on the bookmarks, remove that now too. Now the wood veneer might have some rough spots. It's wood after all. If it does, you can use a nail file or some 220 grit sandpaper to smooth the edges. Just be gentle when doing so that you don't break your awesome bookmarks. I also recommend using a weeding tool to remove any small bits of wood that need an extra nudge to release. And if you have a craft knife like the Cricut True Control knife blade, it's also really helpful to cut out in little pieces that might have gotten left behind. Repeat the same steps if you want to cut more wood veneer. I cut all of the designs in walnut, maple, and cherry veneer so I would have a nice mix of colors when assembling my bookmarks. Step 3. Put together your wooden bookmarks. Now for the fun part, putting your bookmarks together. And really, this is fun, and I'm going to show you how I made mine, but feel free to mix it up and use your imagination. So let's make my read bookmark first. For this, I'm going to use the bookmark with the cutout book at the bottom, along with the word read. And this is really just so simple. First, add a small amount of super glue to the back of the word read. Less glue is better for this. Don't go too crazy with the glue. Now place the word on top of the bookmark. I eyeballed this to make sure that it was centered. You can measure it if you want. Then I took a moist baby wipe to press the word onto the bookmark to remove any excess glue. And you could also use a moist but not wet piece of towel instead if you don't have a baby wipe. You want to use this to avoid touching the super glue with your bare fingers. For my next bookmark, I'm using the pretty flower piece that was cut from the flower bookmark design. I will add a small amount of super glue to the back of the flower and add this to the blank bookmark. Blot the flower with a baby wipe or moist towel, then press it into the bookmark and remove any excess glue. Again, feel free to mix up the colors. I just think this looks so pretty. Next, I'm going to create a bookmark using a blank bookmark along with my hearts bookmark design, and I'm going to stack them. So again, add a small amount of super glue to the back of the heart bookmark. Place that piece on top of the blank bookmark, align the eyelet holes at the top and the edges, and continue pressing the 2 pieces together. Blot with a baby wipe or a moist paper towel to remove any excess glue. And continue pressing the 2 pieces together for a couple of minutes so the glue has time to dry. There are so many fun ways to assemble these wooden bookmarks. You can get creative by combining different cut pieces to a blank bookmark. So let's make a bookmark with a dolphin piece and some hearts. Because these pieces are tiny, I'm using tweezers to hold the pieces as I apply glue to the back. Next, I'm gluing some random heart pieces above the dolphin. Again, using my tweezers to hold the piece while adding glue and to place it onto the blank bookmark. And I used the end of my tweezers to press the tiny heart pieces down for a minute while the glue dried. Use a baby wipe or moist paper towel again to remove any excess glue. Step 4, add some ribbon. Now the final piece. You can add all kinds of things to the top of your bookmark to dress it up. A tassel, a bow, a ribbon, there's lots of options. I used organza and grosgrain ribbons for mine. Measure and cut the ribbon 1 and 1.5 to twice the length of the bookmark, which is about 10 to 15 inches. Fold the ribbon in half and push the folded end of the ribbon through the eyelet hole. Slide the tail ends of the ribbon through the opening of the ribbon that you slid through the hole and pull tight. If the tails are too long, trim with scissors. For this bookmark, instead of leaving the tails, I created a bow using organza ribbon. To protect the tail ends of the ribbon from fraying, you can add a little fray check. Step 5, show it off. And here are some of my finished wooden bookmarks. I just love how they look. These bookmarks would make a wonderful gift. So cutting wood on the Cricut does not have to be scary or crazy, especially when you use the right wood and blade from the very start. And when you've done it right, you can create some really, truly amazing things. These wood veneer bookmarks look like inlaid wood, which is like a really complicated thing. It's super classy, and everyone is going to be so impressed when you tell them you made them yourself, because you can. Now, if you've got any questions about cutting wood on your cutting machine, please let me know. Leave your question below this video or ask over in our Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/Cricut Crafters. I love to help and see you succeed. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.